Hello and welcome back to the Renatus InvestEdge. My name is Jay Stark, and it is truly my privilege to get to welcome you to our broadcast today. Now, for those of you that are here for the very first time, I want to extend a very special welcome and let you know the purpose of this call is to talk about those investing strategies that are creating massive returns in today's market. Every single week, we strive to bring to you practitioners, people that are out there every single day working inside of real estate investing, and then have them come out here and share what's working for them, give their tips and tricks and maybe a few red flags and warnings to let us know what's coming down the pipe. Every single week, we tend to just one-up ourselves, and today is going to be an awesome opportunity not to actually hear from one of our practitioners in the field, but to hear from the founder and the CEO of Renatus himself. Now, if you've been around Renatus for even 5 minutes, you have seen the ripple effect of Bob's vision in action. It's truly amazing to think about that he's not just the founder of the company, but the architect of the opportunity that is truly Renatus. He's not just an amazing individual because he's in the trenches, that he's truly focused on empowering the people around him, but he also focuses his energy on making sure that each one of us can understand the most complex of ideas in the easiest way possible and find an application for it. You just saw Bob's head pop into frame there for a second. He's getting really excited about being on the call today.
Yes, I am.
So
I'm pumped.
With no further ado, let me turn the time over to our host with the most, Mr. Bob Snyder.
Listen, I'm excited to be here with you. I'm looking forward to our conversation today because we've got a lot of information to share with you. I mean, I want to drill down on some great talking points when it comes to real estate investing and how to really set your business on fire and why real estate investing is so important and so valuable. But before I do, I got a couple things I want to share with you. First and foremost, listen, I hope you guys are enjoying the Renatus InvestEdge. We certainly love and enjoy this thing every single week. But listen, subscribe. That's what you ought to do. Share it, like it, save it, and make sure that you continue to promote it so that we can obviously continue this great tradition of providing quality content every single Monday. And, we want to make sure you're dialed into that. Now, listen, I've got Mr. Jay Stark right here on my right, and I am thrilled that I've got him as, well, my co-host every single week. It's a wonderful opportunity for us to share some of the wit and wisdoms that we've acquired over the years, and today is no different. So before we go any further, let's just dive right in.
Let's do it. Should I add a little caveat here?
Yes, add a little caveat.
So here's the deal. Today's conversation is going to be a little bit impromptu and really directed not just by the content Bob's prepared, but also the questions that you have.
Yes.
If you are wanting to learn from the decades of experience that Bob has, to learn from his entrepreneurial journey, or even his real estate investing or business ownership or sales or management and marketing prowess and market analysis, and I could just keep going here. But if you want to learn from Mr. Bob Snyder, get your questions submitted in the chat box right now, and I'll interrupt Bob as we're going with any of those questions so that he can take time to answer those for you.
Yes, and you know what? If I get in the flow state, don't be afraid to interrupt me, I should say, because I want to make sure we get right into there. Because I want to really help educate every single one of you as to a few things that I think are important in the world of business, finance, and real estate. First of all, I want to talk to you a little bit about Mr. Robert Kiyosaki and his book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and some of the other great publications that he's kicked out. Now, it used to be that Sharon Lechter was also a co-author and everything else. And Sharon's a good friend of mine, and I think the world of her. But I love this because what Robert Kiyosaki really pointed out was this. He says, listen, there's three different types of education. First of all, you've got academic and you've got vocational. Now, with both academic and vocational education, here is the unfortunate challenge that kind of goes along with that. So let me see. There we go. The unfortunate challenge is those types of education are designed to prepare you to work for money. I mean, that's really what it is. They prepare you to work for money. And as we know, you don't get a lot of leverage out of that, and you don't get a lot of days off, right? At least paid days off that go along with that. The third is financial education. Financial education, that has money working for you. Now, if you want a job, if you want a career in corporate America, that's fantastic, good for you, but you've got to understand that you're trading hours for dollars. If, on the other hand, you want to learn about financial education, well, then that makes a big difference for you as well. Because financial education helps you to put those dollars to work, to put your investments to work, to make sure that you are building something in a residual ongoing fashion that's really going to help you. Now, I'm going to speak to both different types of education with relationship to real estate and some of the other things that go along with that. First of all, we're going to go to this chart. This is a great little chart about the total needed for retirement. Here's what you got to remember about...
Has this been adjusted for inflation?
It has been adjusted for inflation.
Okay, I was just wondering.
Yes, it has been. Yeah, right. So this starts out, I mean, with year 2025 and uses an average of 3.49% inflation.
You actually put that right on the slide.
I did. I wrote that right there so that it would be with you. Yes.
Yeah.
Now, there's going to be some folks who go 3.49% inflation each year. Oh, that's a pipe dream. We'd sure love to have seen that recently, right? But historically, that's more in line with what they continue to report. Now, I will tell you, just a little side note here, is that, what they do with the Consumer Price Index every single year is manipulative. Hey, these things really inflated at a higher rate. I don't think we should include those. Hey, these inflated at a lower rate. Maybe we should put those in. So, listen, the government does some strange accounting. I mean, they really do. And it's never a true figure.
My dad is a statistics professor. He's retired now.
Uh-huh.
And I took a business statistics class, and I called him one night, and I said, I hate statistics. And he said, why? I said, statistics are subjective. Oh, that offended him to the core. He was like, no, they're not subjective. And I said, okay, maybe they're not subjective, but the presentation of statistics are very subjective. And he said, well, yeah, that is.
Absolutely. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about some of these wonderful statistics.
Let's do
it. And just numbers. This is the total amount needed for retirement. And we've had this slide up for a little bit, but here's what you got to remember is that if you want to retire and live, let's say 20 years in retirement, we've kind of highlighted that in the center section there. Over on the left-hand side in the red are the number of years you expect to live in retirement. And it lists from 5 to 40. Along the top in the blue, it is the amount you would like to receive each and every month. So if you're trying to save your way to wealth, which a lot of individuals do, right? Put it away. Then what's going to happen is if you intend to live 20 years in retirement, let's say you want $10,000 a month, well, you're going to need to save about $3.4 million to have set aside. $3.4 million. If you want $20,000 a month, well, then that means that you're going to have to put away almost $7 million. And then you can live on that each and every month in retirement, right? Well, this is kind of more of a financial model for the individuals who were not taught about financial education and how to leverage investments. Let's take a look at this pie chart. This pie chart hasn't changed in 40 years. It's still pretty much the same. But by the age of 65, you've got 95% of the population that's either dead, disabled, or broke. You got 54%, well, they're dependent. And you know what they're dependent on, Jay?
I'm still processing that chart. Yeah. 95% are dead, disabled, or broke, meaning that there's only 5% that are not dead, disabled, or broke.
Exactly.
Sorry, I got just stuck on that.
Exactly.
I would say if they're dependent, if there's 54% dependent, they're either dependent on their families, their friends, the government, or some other organization.
Charities, yes, exactly, exactly. Ding, 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 you get a check in the box. Did good. You've got 36% of these individuals, they're still working. Right? And now many times they're not working because they want to. They're working because they have to, right? You got 5%, they're dead. You got 4% financially independent. And financial independence to the government really doesn't mean much. It just basically means that you have enough to live on, to get by on, and continue with things. And then 1%, the 1% are what we refer to as the wealthy.
And what exactly qualifies as wealthy?
Those are folks who can live a very comfortable life.
Okay.
And live pretty much, at the level that they were living or above to when they decided to move into retirement.
So this is like the 6.9 million people, the people that have $7 million in the bank account.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So those are the individuals. So the wealthy 1%, as we kind of refer to it. Now, if we take a look at the investing advice for those who really leaned into either academic or vocational schooling, they really are taught, hey, here's the way you do it. You invest for accumulation. That's what you do. You invest for accumulation, and then you acquire cash throughout your entire working life. That's what you do. You're going to save your way to wealth, so to speak, right? And then you retire and spend it each year to live on. Now, here's the problem. That means that whatever you spend this month takes away from what you have to live on next month. And whatever you spend the next month takes away from what you have to live on the next month. So the end game here is you go broke or you die.
That's wow.
And right now, unfortunately, what we've got is we've got a lot of folks that are outliving their retirement. Because the fastest growing segment of our population, check this out, is centennials.
Does that mean 100-year-olds?
Yes. Individuals who are hitting the 100-year mark and living beyond that.
All right.
Isn't that insane?
I mean,
modern science and, and health and nutrition and everything else is seeing our population grow older. But what that means is that let's say you retire at the age of 65 and you live to be 100, you've got to support yourself in retirement for 35 years. There's a lot of folks that are not able to do that.
Well, let's see. That chart that you were looking at earlier had the 20 years. If you got $20,000 a month for 20 years, it was 6.9 million.
Yes.
So if it was 30 years, add another.
Oh, you just keep continuing to multiply that out.
Yeah.
Now, okay, so let's take a look. My parents taught me this. They said, listen, if you want to study the wealthy, don't learn from the broke. Right? You need to study those individuals and how they achieved that wealth, how they achieved success, how they went out there and made things happen. So these are really the investing advice for financially educated students. How does that work? First of all, they don't invest for accumulation, they invest for cash flow. Everything is always about cash flow. Whether they're building a business, it's always about the revenue that they can get in above and beyond expenses. If they're investing for real estate or cash flow, man, I don't know what's going on with these slides, but it keeps advancing with or without me.
Yeah, it's a little touchy.
Yeah. So anyway, investing for cash flow and making things happen there. That means what they do is they acquire cash flow from real estate, business, and other types of investments. And then they get to retire and live free because what you spend this month is replaced by what you earn the next month.
Yeah.
And what that does is it means, hey, listen, if you spend something this month, you're going to get more money next month, and if you spend that, then you're going to get more money the next month. It creates a real framework of abundance, a mental attitude around abundance, and then it gives you the opportunity to pass it on to the next generation. So that's another huge win in that column. So I'm a big believer in real estate, right? Obviously, that's what our conversation is about today. Well, man, I don't know what's going on with my computer, but it just seems to have a mind of its own today. So I had one of my early on mentors, Dolph DeRoos. I'll never forget. He was a Rich Dad advisor at the time, and Dolph used to tell me, he says, Bob, he said, the deal of the decade comes along about once a week if you know what to look for. About once a week. And I thought, whoa, that's revelation. That means there's plenty of opportunities out there. There's plenty of deals out there, right? So here's the next question. Then why do some people crush it and others absolutely get crushed? What do you think, Jay?
I think that the people that get crushed are those people that go in head first without the education and the support that they would otherwise benefit from.
Yeah, very good. It's interesting because I'm here to tell you that there is an interesting dynamic that plays out with real estate investing, with business, with everything else. And that is that there are definitely reasons why some succeed and others don't. Right? Because the great thing about real estate investing is there's absolutely no ceiling. There's absolutely no ceiling on your income. I mean, sky's the limit. You can make as much as you possibly want. The bad news is no floor either.
Oh,
right?
That's a painful truth. You only learn once. You only have to learn once.
Unfortunately, it is, and because of that, we've just got to roll with the punches here. But there are top 10 reasons. I want to share the top 10 reasons why certain real estate investors succeed when others, seem to struggle? First and foremost, you hit on it. They continually educate themselves. Did you know that the most valuable real estate you'll ever invest in is the 6 inches between your ears? And I tell people, I've always told them in business and real estate and finance, that the best investment that you can possibly make is an investment in yourself, because it's always going to produce the highest rate of return over and over and over again. The number two reason is this, is that they buy in the right markets. Now, Jay, we know that there are different types of markets out there.
Absolutely.
I mean, there are cash flowing markets, there are high appreciating markets, there are markets that are more flat and have some challenges that go along with it. So there's a lot of different types of markets. But when we talk about, real estate as location, well, that's true based on investing strategy, right? And what we want to know, or what we want to help our people understand, is based on their investing strategy, what is that going to produce for them?
Yeah.
Because everybody has a little different philosophy about investing. Some are like, hey man, I want to turn deals. I want to do fix and flips. I want to be the bank. I want to do seller finance notes. Hey, I'm going to just do subject to deals, use somebody else's money, somebody else's credit to get into a property. I want to go out there and do multifamily, or I want to do commercial, or I want to do land development. There's a lot of different ways to make money in real estate. And there are different markets that are more lucrative for the strategy than others.
Can I just put in a quick plug really quick?
Yes.
A little while ago, you developed the Renatus Education Profile, which I think is an underutilized tool.
The REP, as we refer to it.
REP, that's right. This is basically an assessment that you take when you become a new customer with Renatus, where you talk about your interest, your intent, your level of time, money, and resources. And then what happens is our algorithm on the back end is able to sort the education to match your needs, so that it gives you basically the quickest path to go from brand new to your first deal, so that you can start investing as quickly as possible. And it will sort all of the learning paths based on the recommendations that it made for you based on the REP.
And it's a fantastic tool because it helps each individual investor know where they ought to be spending their time based on their short-term and long-term goals and what they want to do.
Yeah.
But that's the reason why we also teach multiple strategies. The strategies are important because if you're just a one-trick pony, in other words, you only know one strategy, and then that strategy, for whatever reason, becomes null and void because the market shifts in your area, then you're bankrupt. You're out of business.
Or Congress passes a law saying short-term rentals are no longer legal.
Or state, or the state, legislature gets involved and think that they're doing everybody a favor, and then they find out they're not. There's those kinds of things.
Yep.
So, they buy in the right markets. Number 3 is this: they prioritize cash flow over speculation. I am such a big believer in cash flow, and I'm a buy and hold investor. That's what I am. I don't go out there and do, a lot of quick turn real estate deals. Now, I've done them, and, I've done raw land development. I've done, different things of that nature. But I am really a cash flow investor. That's the reason why I've got commercial property. It's the reason why I've got, single family homes. I've got duplexes, triplexes. I've got short-term rentals. It's the reason why every single one of those strategies is bringing me in monthly income, because I want to make darn good and sure that revenue comes in. You get to enjoy it for the long haul, and then I have something that I can pass down to the next generation.
You know what number 3 reminds me of?
What's that?
It reminds me of 2008.
Yeah.
There were a lot of people that were investing based on speculation. They just planned on the appreciation. In fact, there were some markets where people where developers would say, hey, you're going to buy it right now, and by the time we finish it will appreciate this much in cost. And
it's one of the reasons why Miami just saw this explosion. I mean, people were going flat out crazy because they were all investing for speculation. As a matter of fact, I'll never forget the sales pitch from a lot of the developers down there. It was like, hey, why learn to invest? Why learn about all these strategies? Why waste your time? You got better things to do. All you need to do is buy our pre-construction condos from us. Buy it at $600,000. By the time we get it finished, it'll be worth $850,000. Where can you get a better deal than that? And they literally had, these massive parties with big bands and DJs and lights and glitter, and I'm sure there was plenty of alcohol and everything else down there, and they were getting people to sign on the bottom line. It's like, well, if one's good, why don't I take 2? Hey, you know what? Why don't you just give me 10?
Right.
Those people went bankrupt fast when the market turned. And that's the reason why I never invest for speculation, because I'm just a really conservative kind of a guy, right?
Yeah.
But cash flow, I'll do that all day long.
How much money did you lose in 2008?
Well, I didn't.
Enough said.
Yeah. Okay, moving right along. Number four of the top 10 is this. They master the art of due diligence. Master the art of due diligence. Now, what do you think that means, Jay?
It means that they really need to learn how to look out for all of the red flags before they get involved in the deal.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And it means that you're going to take a look at the market. You're going to take a look at the forecasted trends. You're going to take a look at, the hot pockets of new construction and development. You're going to be able to see the fingers of growth in a community and figure out where things are, where they're happening. You're going to take a look at the crime rate. You take a look at shopping and this and that and the other thing. Of course, you're really going to spend your time based on valuation of the property. If it's a single family, duplex, triplex, fourplex type of a home, it's going to be valued based on the comparable approach, right? If it's a commercial property or apartment complexes, it's going to be based on capitalization and on net operating income. So, they know how to do their numbers, and they know how to compare apples to apples and oranges to oranges rather than the other way around. And when you learn to master the art of due diligence, then instead of falling in love with the property, you learn to fall in love with the deal. And then you structure it so that you're always going to have a win and a win big. Number 5 is this. Number 5, they leverage smart financing strategies. Now, Michael Lecter, another great friend of mine, you know why he's a great friend of mine?
Why is that?
Well, because Sharon's his husband. Sharon's his wife, her husband, Michael.
There we go.
What I was trying to say
there.
Yeah, because I was thinking too fast, and I was moving forward with the idea that Philip is also their son.
You go.
They're great folks, and he wrote this tremendous book when he was a Rich Dad Advisor called OPM, Other People's Money. Now listen, there's OPs. There's a lot of OPs. There's other people's money, other people's credit, other people's efforts, other people's ideas, other people's knowledge, other people's resources, other people's time. When you learn to leverage the OPs, it sets you up for stronger wins because you're in the driver's seat. That means that the business is no longer solely dependent on you. It's no longer dependent on what you've got in your bank account. It's no longer dependent on what you have, as a FICO score, or what you've got as a knowledge set. You're able to leverage other people's great assets so that you can drive your business forward. And that's why we talk about all sorts of no money down ways of doing real estate.
Yeah.
So number 5, they leverage smart financing strategies, whether that's private lending, seller financing, hard money, traditional lending, whatever it might be. The next thing is this. Number 6, they treat real estate as a business.
Ooh, that's a hard one for all new real estate investors to learn.
It is, because so many of them get so excited about things that they want to rush into doing a deal. I mean, rush into doing it.
Yeah.
And the challenge with rushing into doing a deal is that you sometimes negate all of the important steps that lead up to a successful transaction.
Yeah.
Right.
Another thing I've seen a lot of people do is they get into a deal and then they decide, I need to make this home my level of done, right? Mm-hmm. Not necessarily the standard of the market that it's in, but my standard.
Yes. Yeah, if they believe that if they can't live in it, no one else will want to either.
Right.
And that is just not the fact. I mean, there are all sorts of different renters, tenants, there's all sorts of different deals, there's all sorts of different strategies that apply. One of our instructors has always had this great example. He says, are you a Walmart investor? Are you a Nordstrom's investor? Or no, it's a Target investor. It's a Walmart, Target, and Nordstrom's investor. Yeah. And he says, because there's different types of properties. I'll tell you what we like. We like cute little single-family homes or duplexes, because we found that the property actually has a personality that attracts a certain type of renter. And we want to make sure that, we're dealing with renters that are responsible and they want to care for the home as if it's their own. So they treat it as a business. The worst thing you could possibly do is treat it as a hobby, because if you do, it'll cost you like a hobby does. Number seven is this. They build strong networks and partnerships. So much of our business is built on relationships. I mean, it really is. And the relationships that you grow in the real estate world or in business are going to really help to determine your net worth, right? There's an old adage. I first heard it from my old buddy, Mark Victor Hansen. He says, Bob, your network will very much determine your net worth, because it's who you hang around with, who you spend your time with, how they influence your decisions that makes all the difference in the world. So number 7 being they build strong networks and partnerships means that they have surrounded themselves with other like-minded investors. And I think that's one of the reasons why our community is such an important aspect of everything that we do in Renatus, because we build local communities of investors in cities and markets all across the country that get together on a weekly basis and actually take a look at their deals, examine their deals. They help one another with vendors, suppliers, financing, the whole darn thing.
I don't think we can overstate the value that the Renatus family, the community, has. Because when somebody is brand new in real estate investing, the reason why taking that first step is always the hardest is because they're stepping into the unknown. Well, when you have somebody who's been there before a number of times and they're taking you by the hand, well, all of a sudden it's a whole lot less scary and it's a lot more plausible to get involved in the deal.
Yes, it is.
And I think that is something that is so unique to Renatus. So unique because you've created a culture where individuals celebrate each other's success, right? I love the term that Mitch came up with, the collaboration, right?
Yes.
We are collaborative and competitive, but we aren't competitive against each other. We're competitive against the market.
Right.
And so many people are they've been able to segue into real estate investing confidently because of the community that you've created.
Yep. It's the beauty of it, man, because I'll tell you what, relationships are everything in this business. The next thing is number 8. Number 8, they have multiple exit strategies. That's another reason why, you got to learn multiple strategies. What happens if the deal takes a little bit of a turn or the market shifts? You've got to have a number of different ways to exit out of that property. You also have to have a number of ways to exit, or I should say enter into a property as well. So that's another big thing. So don't just learn one strategy. Make sure that you have prepared yourself and that you've learned multiple strategies that are going to help assist you as you move forward.
Can I add a comment to this as well?
Yes, please do.
Because this one has blessed my business massively, having multiple exit strategies. You don't have to master multiple exit strategies. You just need a cursory understanding of them. And then when it comes time in the deal, when you go, okay, I've got to shift. I've now hit that point where I said, okay, when I get to this point, things are going to change. Well, then you can go back into the Renatus education at any time, watch the class that applies, and then all of a sudden you've got that strategy in your toolbox that you can leverage at any point in time. That has saved my bacon more than once.
Yeah, it has everyone's. It has. Thank you, man, for sharing that. The next one, number 9, is listen, they focus on long-term wealth building. Long-term. They realize that investing is a marathon. It is not a sprint. Those individuals who don't understand the concept of delayed gratification really kind of set themselves up so that they don't get to enjoy all the benefits that go along with a little more foresight and vision in their business. So we encourage people all the time, listen, focus on your long-term wealth building so that you can plan to make sure that your real estate investing portfolio outlives you and is able to be something you pass down to the next generation. If you've got that attitude, you'll make different decisions than if you're just trying to do a deal to make a quick buck.
Yep.
And there's nothing wrong with making money today, right? While, really investing and building wealth over time. It's just that if everything that you do is designed for the gratification of the moment, in other words, I just want to make this money as fast as I possibly can, quick turn, do this, you're going to cut corners. You're gonna also damage your brand in the marketplace.
That also kind of sounds like you are employed. Because as soon as you stop working, your money stops, you stop earning.
Exactly. Yeah, it does sound like that because it goes back to kind of that vocational training.
Exactly.
Where you work for money rather than money works for you. See, with a cash flow strategy, the money is always going to work for you. That means regardless of what you do with your day, you can enjoy the nice benefits of receiving income. If you're sick, you get paid. If you take vacation, you get paid. If you want to take an extended holiday for a summer, you get paid, right? Whereas, with quick turn real estate strategies is great. It's fun. It's nice to get that big lump sum check at the end of the processing at closing. But then you've got to start over on the next deal, and then the next deal, and then the next deal. Whereas if it's more buy and hold, you get to enjoy the benefits long term.
There are a lot of benefits with doing both, right? Mm-hmm. With building long-term wealth and getting those quick wins along the way. So we're not trying to promote one way over the other. It's just that if you want to truly build wealth long-term, if you want to focus on that cash flow money coming in every single month, then you need to take that longer perspective.
Yes, exactly. All right, number 10. Can I have a drum roll, please? Number 10. They stay persistent and adaptable. Now, listen, persistence, I think everybody understands. Consistent, persistent action repeated over time is what helps to drive results. But adaptable, what does that mean?
Adaptable that's one of the best words. I'll never forget the training that Woody Woodward did where he talked about having the 2 words to define ourselves.
Oh, yes.
Right? What were your 2?
You know what? Mine were interesting. They seem to appear to be like in competition with one another because it was immovable but flexible.
And see, I thought it was adaptable.
Yeah.
I thought it was immovable and adaptable, but immovable and flexible. So adaptable means that you can respond to a situation, and you can shift, you can change, you can adapt to the different stimulus that has changed in the situation. And I love those 2 words for you in particular because you are immovable in your principles, and yet you are flexible when it comes to the application of those principles in business and life.
Yeah, absolutely, because you may need to make some adjustments along the way, which is what it's all about. So, here's a big question. Why real estate? Why now? I'm going to go through a few things just to really hit this home. First of all...
So really quick, before you get into that, Aubrey asked a question a little while ago, and I think this might be a good time to segue into that question. Okay. She asked, I'm curious to hear Bob's story. Where was he before? What directed him towards real estate investing, and what was his first deal?
That's a great story. I was drug into real estate kicking and screaming by my wife. I didn't know anything about real estate. I mean, I had all the same fears and concerns that everybody else did.
Right.
My wife, on the other hand, because she was raised in a family that invested. I mean, her parents built a very, very wonderful real estate portfolio that has supported them their entire lives in retirement. But I didn't have that luxury. As a matter of fact, I was in high school when we finally bought our first home and became homeowners as a family.
And by we, you mean your parents?
My parents. We were renters. Up until then, they rented and we kind of moved from place to place and did our thing. And it wasn't until high school where my mom and dad actually finally bought their first home. And my frame of reference was not of being an owner. It was all about just simply, just paying the landlord and doing the thing and, having somebody else to own the property you lived in. It was really interesting when Holly and I got married because I was giving my money to my stockbroker, right? Because I was taught, hey, you know what? You got to invest. You need a 401k. You need individual stocks. You need to, diversify your portfolio, all of that wonderful stuff. And I found that the more money I gave to my broker, well, then the more broke I got, right?
The broker I got.
The broker I got. Oh my goodness. And she went out and she found this great little for sale by owner duplex, and this was not a creative deal, and it wasn't a really great wholesale buying opportunity either, not like we teach. She went out and she found it. It was an okay deal, but it was a nice clean little property. So she went out and she constructed a deal. We used traditional financing and showed up to closing and did our deal and everything else. And I remember thinking after we closed on that property, oh dear, 6 months from now, I'm going to be saying, I told you so. This is going to be a major pain in the butt, right? Well, it wasn't 6 months later, but a year later, we were sitting down with our accountant to do our taxes. And he says, well, here's the depreciation schedule that we've mapped out for your property, and this is what we were able to take on the first year. Here's, some of the maintenance and repair costs and improvements that, we've been able to factor into your taxes this year. And here's your total savings because you now have real estate rental property. And I looked at that and I thought, holy smokes. You mean to tell me we got the appreciation? We got the cash flow off of the rents? We got all of this incredible tax benefit that helped to, eliminate a lot of the money we otherwise would have paid to Uncle Sam. I'm looking at the accountant and looking at my wife going, dang, I am so glad I thought of this.
It's the best idea I ever had.
I'm grateful for Holly because she had vision that I didn't have, because she had perspective that I didn't have. And I thought, I can't wait to do this again and again and again and again. And I got the bug. That was it, man. I got the bug. Now, I got smarter as time went on.
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons why we developed an educational company is because I wanted to understand wholesale buying better. I wanted to understand, creative deal making at its core. And I knew that I needed to go and find the best of the best instructors to learn from. Yeah. And I thought, well, why not extend that opportunity to others so that while I'm learning, we can teach others, they'll learn as well.
So how long ago was that first deal?
Oh my goodness, that first deal was 1997 or so, 96, 97, maybe 98. It was a ways back.
Okay, so that would have been a good time to invest in real estate, right?
Oh, it was a great time to invest in real estate. I didn't think that at the time.
Right.
I thought, holy smokes, is this thing ever going to be worth more than it's worth today? And you know what's amazing? I look back on that now, and that little duplex, I still own that duplex.
Awesome.
I shouldn't say Holly and I still own that duplex. We bought that for $130,000. And today, it's worth every penny of $680,000.
Man. I don't even want to try to calculate what kind of return that would be in the stock market.
Oh,
that is incredible.
Well, and it's not just, the return on appreciation. It's factor in the cash flow, factor in the tax benefits, factor in all of the different things. And that's why I am such a big believer in real estate.
That's awesome. I'm sure that the market has obviously shifted in the last 28 years, and so now is probably really not a good time to invest in real estate, right?
I'm going to show you some things in a minute that's gonna make you a believer, because we've talked about it before. I mean, the best time to invest in real estate was 20 years ago. The second best time is right now today, because in 5 years or 10 years from now, you guys are going to be looking back on today going, should have, could have.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
Just think back to 10 years ago from today.
Right.
Don't you wish 10 years ago you had invested in more properties and bought more?
Oh, I absolutely wish.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wish I'd have taken my own advice more aggressively. That's always a big part of it. But that's the reason why. And now, along with that, and that was a great question. Thanks for allowing me to share that, is that real estate is an inflation-resistant investment. That means that as inflation continues to go up and the buying power of the dollar goes down, the great thing about it is your property values rise, right? Your rents rise. I mean, all of the benefits that go along with that. So it's inflation resistant because the appreciative value goes up and you get increasing income from rents.
I hope everybody can understand that concept right there. We've recently experienced inflation, and in my lifetime, this has been the most aggressive inflation that I've ever experienced. And yet my real estate has gone right up with inflation. Because as the buying power of the dollar has decreased, it has increased the number of dollars it takes to buy my property. The value of real estate has continually appreciated my entire investing career. And so I hope that everybody really takes to heart those three principles right there. That's huge.
Absolutely. And that it is. And then, of course, let's talk a little bit about this. Increasing income, we talked about that. Insurable against loss. That's what I wanted to get to.
Yes.
Insurable against loss. Why is that important?
That is huge. Can you imagine if you were to invest in stocks and the stock market crashes? If you could go to your insurance company and say, hey guys, stock market crashed, I lost all my value, can you give me my money back? they're probably going to laugh you out of the room.
Oh, they absolutely would too.
But if I go to my insurance company that I pay to insure my home, and then that home has some sort of a catastrophic incident, whatever that is, I'm going to go to the insurance company. I'm going to say, hey guys, can you give me some help here? And they're going to say, yeah, absolutely. That's what this coverage is all about.
And they will. And they will. Here's the next thing too. The debt decreases over time. Well, let's say that you've got, any kind of financing put in place that has any kind of a schedule to it. You're going to pay that off with every single monthly payment.
Yep.
So the debt service on that property decreases over time, which means you now are increasing the equity over time. And here's another big caveat and a huge benefit to real estate. You can purchase equity at a discount. See, I can't do that with crypto. I can't go, into the exchange and say, I think I would like to pay this instead of what you're asking.
I want 20% off, please.
Exactly. They're going, what? No. The price is the price. Whatever today it's going for, that's what you're going to pay.
Yep.
If I go to my stockbroker and I say, you know what, I really don't think Apple's worth that, so here's what I'll give you for it. That's not going to happen.
Right.
But with real estate, I can negotiate those kinds of deals all day long. And the reason why I can negotiate those deals is because people that are in a financially challenged position, they don't want to have to, go into foreclosure or deal with all of the repercussions of the bank taking their property back. The reason why they don't is because a foreclosure against you, a foreclosure on your credit rating actually weighs heavier against you than bankruptcy. So we can do them a solid and help them out of a bad situation, allow them to move on with their lives and their credit to get restored. I can purchase their home at a big discount and purchase the equity that is inside of that home at a big discount. So that's a huge one.
Yeah. Basically, what you're doing is you're solving their problem and taking on their risk for them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Here's another big one, too. Real estate is a hard asset. It's a hard asset. I mean, I can go over and kick the bricks. I can open and close the door. I mean, I've got something that is of tangible value that is sitting there that I get to enjoy. And then the next thing is this, control over the investment. That's a huge one. I love the fact that I have control over my real estate and over influencing the value of that real estate. I don't have control over a stock. I don't have control over a bond. I don't have control over mutual funds or gold or silver or crypto. I don't have any kind of influence over those things. But I can control the investment, on my doorstep as far as what that property is valued at.
Yeah. Why would you kick the bricks?
Sometimes it's an old expression. I'm not exactly sure where
I've heard kick the
bricks.
Tires, but
No, it's kick the bricks. Yeah, kick the bricks.
Isn't
kick the
that
tires.
kind of like kicking the bucket?
No, not at all. That means that you're verifying that you've got a good, solid home investment. That's what that is.
Kick the bricks.
Yes, and here's the other thing that I want to point out too, and that is this: it provides multiple streams of income.
Oh yeah.
And I'm a big believer in multiple streams of income, especially those that contribute to the accumulation of cash flow every single month, so that I'm no longer dependent on my own efforts and my own energy to be able to make a living for me and my family. So that's another big, bonus there. And then we talked about this already, but it saves you money on your taxes. This is huge. Taxes is your largest expense in life. You'll pay more in food, housing, clothing, and sometimes entertainment combined. Or I should say you'll pay more in taxes than all of those things combined. So you need to learn how to reduce your largest expense in life. It kind of goes like this. Listen, if you make $100,000 a year and you're paying, let's say, $35,000 a year in taxes, you don't have an income problem. You have a strategy problem. And one of the things that you need to dive into, you got to become a real estate investor, because now you get all the business deductions, you get all the real estate deductions, and now you've got another $15,000 to $25,000 a year that you otherwise would have paid to Uncle Sam that's coming right back to you because of all those legal beneficial deductions that you get to enjoy. So that's another big plus. Here's the next one. It also helps you to attain financial stability. We kind of alluded to that early on when we say there's a difference between investing for accumulation, trying to save your way to wealth, versus investing for cash flow, which is all about building more abundance into your mindset and into your financial strategy. So financial stability. The next thing is monthly cash flow. We've been talking about that a lot. And then, of course, leveraged return on investment. Oh, my goodness. I'm looking at the clock and I'm going 4:49. How in the world did we get to that time so fast?
We've just been having a lot of fun. That's what it is.
Yeah, because I do want to share this with you to help you understand why creative real estate investing is so lucrative and why it's so beneficial. I'm going to show you an example. I know when you look at this example, you're going to go, Bob, that is an unrealistic example. Yeah, it's just to keep the math simple, okay? That's what it is. To keep the math simple. First and foremost, here's what we've got. Let's say we got a nice little 3-bed, 2-bath house that you're going to have, you're going to be able to acquire for $100,000. Retail value, $100,000.
Now I get why you're saying it's unrealistic.
Yeah, it's unrealistic, right? Yeah. I mean, you can't get a sandbox and put a tough shed on it for $100,000 anymore.
Yeah, no, not anymore.
Yeah. So anyway, but let's just keep the math simple. So retail value, $100,000. Now, if you go to a traditional lender and want to get a conventional home, if you want to go to the bank and say, I want to buy this property, its retail value is $100,000. What do you think they're going to tell you, Jay?
You probably got to bring, 20% to the table?
20% to the table. That's exactly right. And if you're going to bring 20% to the table, that means you got to come up with $20,000 on a $100,000 purchase. But the good news is the bank will loan you the money.
Oh, yeah.
Go in and say, I got a hot stock tip. Couldn't get that one out.
Yeah, no.
I got a hot stock tip, on a $100,000 buy. Will you loan me the money? They're going to laugh you out of the bank.
Yeah.
Go in and say, hey, you know what? I want to buy some crypto. Will you loan me the money? No, it's not happening, but they'll do it all day long on real estate. So you put $20,000 in. Now, that means you're going to finance $80,000. You're using the bank's money for this purchase. That's what we mean by leveraged, right? If we take a look at the historical appreciation of real estate nationwide, now listen, some markets are so much better than 5.5%, but nationwide average about 5.5% annual appreciation on real estate. And let's just take a look at this property, assuming that the property is occupied with tenants and the property taxes and insurance are covered by the rents, right? That means first year profit just in appreciation alone is $5,500. $5,500 on $100,000, right?
No, that's on 20,000. Right?
Oh, see.
Sorry, did I jump the gun?
Yeah, you know where we're going. You know where we're going. Yeah, because the 5.5 you may get the appreciation on the $100,000, right? But you're not going to get the return on investment because you only put $20,000 in. That means your return on $20,000 put into the property is 27.5%. 27.5% ROI.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, again, go to your stockbroker, go to your gold and silver broker, go to your crypto exchange, whatever it might be, and say, hey, I'd like to get that 27.5%. Now, there's a way that we could make this deal even better. How is it? Well, let's say that instead of going to a lender that says you got to put 20% down in there, what happens if you go to a lender that allows you to put $10,000 in?
Well, that means that you're still going to make the $5,500 in appreciation.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're going to basically, what is that, a 60% return?
55%. You're going to double your return on investment because now your return is on the $10,000 that you put in based on the $5,500 that you were able to enjoy for the first year. How do you think we could make this deal even better?
I'm going with zero down. Come on, big money, zero down.
Here we go. Let's say we're working with a property that's in foreclosure.
Okay.
And I've already talked about the fact that, if you've got an individual that is in foreclosure, they want to solve that problem. They want to solve that problem because, like I mentioned, a foreclosure on your credit rating weighs heavier against you than bankruptcy. Lenders are funny. They don't want to lend again to people who didn't pay their bills to the last lender.
Yeah, that's funny how that works.
Yeah. So let's say that you find this same home, and it's got a retail value of $100,000, but it's in foreclosure, meaning that it's not the house that's in foreclosure, it's the owners that are in foreclosure. They are financially stressed right now, and individuals who are financially stressed will trade equity for peace of mind. So let's say that what we do is we go in and we want to purchase this property subject to the existing mortgage. It's a form of seller financing. They still owe $70,000 on the property. Now, they owe 70. I don't know. They might have started out with owing 80. Or it might have been that they started out owing 74, but they've been a few years down the road and appreciation has driven the value of the property up. But that's all that's owed to the bank. The challenge is the bank says, hey, they missed a few payments. And, the only way to stop this foreclosure is that we've got to have those payments paid to us. In other words, they need to be made up. So it might be that you step in and work with the homeowner and say, hey, I'll buy this property subject to the existing mortgage. I'm going to pay those back payments called the default amount. And then, you get to walk away and enjoy life. And I am going to, keep making those payments and help to restore your credit. Turns out to be a pretty good win-win for everybody. But a lot of times what you have is you also have a seller who says, I need some money to move. So maybe you purchase their equity at a discount. You only put $2,000 into the darn thing, right? So now you got $5,000 out of pocket. You still have that appreciation, 5.5%, right? But now, when you take a look at the $5,500 from appreciation, plus the $30,000 that you gained by purchasing equity at a discount, you minus the $5,000 that you put into it, that means your equity and first-year profit equal $30,500 because you did this deal creatively.
That's a pretty good ROI, I'm just saying.
Yeah, you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Here's the ROI. Your return on the $5,000 is 611%.
That's pretty good. 611%.
And there's a way to make this deal even better. That is, instead of using your own money, to pay off the default amount and to purchase the equity, what if you borrowed that from somebody else? So you did a true zero down, no money deal, right?
I like it.
Yeah. Now your return on investment is infinite. How do you even quantify? I mean, the return you get on something you put nothing into.
Yeah. That's
the beauty of it. And I don't know about you. I mean, I remember the very first really creative deal that I ever did. I got a free house. Yeah. I mean, they completely walked away from it. I didn't have to make up for any default payments to the bank. I didn't have to purchase their equity. He wasn't behind on his mortgage. He was about to be behind on his mortgage, and he was scared to death that it was going to ruin his credit rating. So he signed the property over to me subject to. I took it on, put some great renters in there. 9 months later, sold that property, made $63,000 profit. That's after I paid for all of the closing costs, the agent that I hired, because I did sell it through an agent.
That didn't actually take into account all of the cash flows that you'd been receiving for those 9 months.
No, it didn't. That was just what I got at closing. That wasn't even in addition to.
So what you're really saying then is that this kind of an example that while it is unrealistic and maybe the current numbers, the principle that you're teaching is very realistic.
It is very realistic. And that's the reason why I wanted to share this, is so that people had a better understanding as to why so many people are clamoring for real estate profits and why there are so many creative ways to do real estate that you just don't have available to you with other investment types. I mean, they're just not. So whenever I hear anybody, going off about, man, if I'd have bought Bitcoin, well, I say that too. But I would rather own real estate, something insurable, something predictable, something that appreciates over time, something I can control. I'm much more about investing for cash flow rather than for speculation, because that's helped myself and my wife to really put ourselves into a financially stable position.
And when it comes to the hierarchy of needs, I don't see Bitcoin anywhere on there.
Yeah, food, water, and shelter.
Yeah.
It doesn't say and Bitcoin.
And Bitcoin. I'm not bagging on cryptocurrency of any sort, but I do love all of the benefits that come along with real estate investing. And most of all, I love the ability to control the value through my own efforts. Yes. Being able to force that property to appreciate through upgrades and through improvements to the property. I love the control that I have. And just like you said, the two best times to invest in real estate are 20 years ago and today.
Yep.
And so for anybody who's sitting on the fence, who's looking at real estate going, yeah, I've seen a lot of other people make money in real estate. I know it's possible, but I don't know how. Well, getting involved with Renatus is the right thing to do, because not only do we have the education, not only do we have software that then improves and backs up that education, but we also have an entire community of people that are clamoring to help you.
Yes, we do, man. And that's the beauty of it. I can't believe we're at the top of the hour.
Yeah, I just realized what time it was.
I got a few quick announcements that I've got to make for our community members out there so that you know kind of what's going on. First and foremost, listen, our new Generally Speaking videos that are available for you on YouTube, go check them out. You're going to want to see those. The emails that Jay's been sending out from the family thread, then you get an opportunity to have all of your links there to the new video content and social media content
in fact, all of our
kicked out that week.
All of our people should have received that today.
Oh, yes, very good. And listen, if you want to follow us on Instagram or Facebook, I mean, there's our QR codes and the information that is available to you there. We'd love to make you more a part of what we do and bring you into the know. And then, speaking of being in the know, if you would like to know more, here's what we would suggest. Schedule a strategy session. Let's figure out whether or not what we have to offer inside of the Renatus community could be a benefit to you, and whether or not you're a good fit for us as well. So It's really simple and easy. It's no pressure, man. Just set through this link or through this QR code that's on your screen a 15-minute strategy session, and let's walk you through what benefits there may be there. And then put this on the calendar. This is October 23rd through the 25th. This is the 2025 Renatus Fall Summit, our
72
E3.
days.
E3 Summit. Yes, 72 days away from today.
Yes.
It's going to be at the Salt Lake downtown Sheraton. We have pulled out all the stops to make sure that this is an incredible experience so that you can learn, you can get empowered, you can be transformed. Let me just showcase just a few of the instructors that are going to be with us there. I mean, Mr. Bob Tierney, here's an incredible individual. He's been a full-time real estate investor since 2006, done all sorts of different deals. And the guy has won a lot of awards with us over the year. And what he's going to share with individuals, especially with regards to how to utilize our software to find the deals and to fund the deals, it's going to be huge. Daniel Cragen, Daniel is a superstar. He's a great guy. 24 plus years as an attorney. He was a bankruptcy expert. He's also got 30 plus years as a successful real estate investor, and he loves the world of investing and entrepreneurship, but not as much as he loves his wife.
Daniel actually helped to reframe bankruptcy for me in a way that was so transformative and so powerful. Such a great class.
He's fantastic. Mr. Matt Snyder is going to be there because everything that we do really has to have a layer of compliance associated with it. We want to make sure that we set a proper expectation for individuals so they can make intelligent, informed decisions moving forward. He's going to be there to share some of his wit and wisdom as well, and he's such a rock star, man. I love this guy. As a matter of fact, I've known him since birth. Yeah.
You've known him his entire life?
His entire life. Yes, and I am so proud to be able to call him not only our VP of Corporate Relations, but my son. In Renatus, you got to understand, nepotism is not only allowed, it's endorsed, and many times it's really celebrated.
Encouraged, yeah.
30 plus instructors are going to be available to you at the E3 Summit. This is 3 powerful days of hands-on education where they're going to pull all the stops out to make sure that you guys get what you need. Now, listen, there is a cost associated with this, but we've made that cost so unbelievably low that there shouldn't be any excuse for anybody who's serious about changing their life and changing their financial outcome to come to the E3 Summit. As a matter of fact, right now, while we're in the early bird special, it's $197. That's it. Now, you can get a VIP ticket for $500 where you get a lot of backstage stuff and a lot of opportunities to have lunch with the instructors and front row seating and all that cool stuff. But, the information to get registered right there on your screen. All you got to do is go to the link, renatus.me/E3 Summit, or just take a little photo with your phone of the QR code, and that will lead you there as well. Whew. Covered a lot of information in a short period of time.
Very quickly, yep. If you missed anything, you are welcome to go back and watch the playback of this so that you can cover it in detail once again. But man, such cool opportunities are coming up.
Well, it is, and this is just a few of the reasons why we love real estate and why you ought to love it too. So if you're sitting on the fence and you're thinking, I'd love to be able to make money in real estate, well, I've just given you all the reasons why you're thinking the right thoughts. If you're a seasoned investor, I just reinforced what you already know. But one thing is for sure, inside of this community in Renatus, man, we have got an absolute wealth of knowledge, experience, and cooperation, because we don't teach competition. That creates conflict in the marketplace. We teach cooperation. We want to bring people together because as a team, the old acronym, together everyone achieves more, is no more valid than in Renatus. Yeah. And with that, hey, listen, this last slide kind of brings it all home, literally home.
Oh!
Because if home is where the heart is, shouldn't your business be there too? Until next week, man, we look forward to seeing you then, where we've got some amazing guests coming into the studio to once again help you understand why real estate rocks and what kind of creative deals are being done and how you can go out there and do them too. Till then, we'll see you. Good night. God bless everybody.